Welcome back to the Draft Geeks podcast, guys. Today, we're doing our way too early 2026 mock draft. Again, it's way too early. Don't overreact. Don't write this down because probably a lot of what we say is not going to actually happen in real life. But we're excited to get into this draft cycle. Hope you guys are too, because the Draft Geeks podcast starts right now.
Welcome into the Draft Geeks podcast. I'm Max Showstack over at the Draft Geek, here alongside Jace Campbell over at Pat's Drive. We've got an episode for the sickos today. It's our 2026 way too early mock draft. We're going to give you guys an idea of which prospects we are looking at, set in the table for the 2026 mock draft. No, we did not make the order that we're going to show you guys. This is PFF's order, so don't slaughter us for that. But we're just here to have a good time and introduce to you guys some of those prospects that are going to headline next year's draft class, and just, bounce around some ideas, some team fits, all that sort of stuff. It'll be fun. Jace, you excited?
Super excited. And this is a very fun exercise because half these players in about 8 months will probably say, I'm going to stay in college and get 5 million NIL, and not declare. So it's a good way to talk about at least 32 players. And a lot of guys we will know are most likely going to declare for the draft. And I mean, looking at it already, there's a lot more quarterbacks at the top that could be taken than what we just saw in the 2025 draft. So that already makes it maybe a little bit of a better class. But no, I'm excited as heck. This is always fun. And like you said, this is for the sickos for sure.
Yeah. So PFF's got, we're running with PFF's order for full disclosure. The Giants are at the top. Would be very bad news for Joe Shane and Brian Daboll. And if you guys are audio only, I would recommend going over to YouTube. We'll have the PFF mock draft simulator shared, so you guys will be able to watch us go through this exercise over there. If you are audio only, we will do our best, especially because these are all new players, to tell you guys positions and colleges and maybe if they're an underclassman or not. So we'll try to be good on that front, but certainly would recommend YouTube and subscribing, of course, if you are able to. The New York Giants on the clock. Jace, do you want odds or evens? We haven't worked this out at all.
No, but you can start. You can give us the number one overall pick. You can see the draft board, right?
All right.
It's on the screen.
I can see it.
Okay.
So we'll go.
There we go.
It's on the screen. I love subtle ask because we don't need to do another audio only episode where the mock draft simulator isn't working.
Yep.
Why don't we we'll start it with a player that everybody has known for a couple of years now. Keep the Mannings in MetLife. I'm going to take Arch Manning, the quarterback out of Texas, who may not even be in this draft class. So you don't need to, jump with all that. Oh, he's going to take the money. If we're trying to predict which underclassmen are going back, I think we've exceeded the point of the exercise. So for now, Arch Manning, who, he's got a small sample size, but he has showcased a lot of what you look for from a traditional quarterback with very good upside. He's showcased a talented arm, talented dual threat ability. This guy's got all the intangibles, legacy player. Listen, if he can start his career in New York, we may not remember who Jack's in 5 years.
I love this pick because if you're picking number one overall and he has the year like we think he has, it probably makes the most sense because he's the most talented player in this class for sure, in my opinion, as of right now. I think it's so crazy to think that the Giants just traded a lot to get up to the 25th overall pick. I don't think Jackson Dart is going to start all year. They have two guys on 1 year deals in Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. So I don't know. I think it's hard to fathom that they would want to move on from him this early, especially after spending a first round pick on him. But in a way, I do agree. If they're picking number one overall, they probably didn't have the quarterback success like they want. So we'll see. This will be interesting to follow the Giants all year because I do not expect Jackson Dart to be the day one starter. I don't even know if he'll start at the midway point, whenever it will be. I don't know when it will be. So it'll be definitely interesting. But that'll be interesting to follow. The
And
Browns at 2. Oh,
if
go
they're
ahead.
picking number one, I don't think Brian Dable and Joe Shane are making the pick. So it's going to be a
Probably
regime
not.
that didn't even draft Jackson Dart that takes Arch Manning. So we'll see what it's probably going to be, that Will Levis, Cam Ward, somewhat of a situation.
Yeah. So the second overall pick would be the Browns. This will be their original pick. They will have another one in the first round because of the trade. I'm going to go with my second quarterback. I know they took Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders, but in my opinion, it's not enough for them to say, hey, we're not going to take a guy of this caliber because, in my opinion, Drew Aller could have been the second quarterback off the board. He would have for sure gone in the first round, in my opinion. He would have been above Jackson Dart in this class. So I'm going to take Drew Aller to the Cleveland Browns. Now, again, this can all change. Maybe Shadur does come in and surprise everyone like they say, as he's the fifth round still, whatever. He's the second best quarterback. Maybe he does. I don't think that he will. So I'm going Drew Aller here for the Cleveland Browns. They obviously passed on quarterback for so long for a reason. They did not view this quarterback class as a franchise quarterback type of guy. They would have taken one at 2. They would have taken one at 5. They would have traded back up. Heck, they would even have taken Shadur at 33. They didn't do it. So they're going to get their quarterback of the future in 2026.
They could have taken Shadur at 33, 36. They had tons of other picks. They could have taken him before Dylan Gabriel. So we'll see what happens. And you never know if they're picking 2 again. Is Stefanski still there? So we'll see. And I think Drew Aller, listen, he's a guy that's got a lot of upside, a lot of tools. We'll see if he can put it together for an entire season. Penn State should have an unbelievable season. So I don't dislike the pick. I think there's a lot of good projectability for Aller. He's not necessarily my QB2. Maybe we'll get to that in a little bit. But somebody that for sure could go number 2 overall. I'm going to dispatch the quarterback train for Tennessee.
Hey, also, sorry, I gotta throw this in there. Drew Aller's from Cleveland too. I forgot to mention that. Drew
Amazing.
Aller,
And
he's a Cleveland kid, so
he grew up a Buckeye fan, I think. So
yep,
he'll fit right in with Judkins and all those guys. And I was
there
going
you
to say,
go.
we started with Arch Manning, quarterback out of Texas, Drew Aller, quarterback out of Penn State. I made a promise, didn't really keep it. We're going to continue keeping it, especially when we leave quarterbacks. I feel like most people know who Arch and Haller are. This guy I'll take. Maybe not everybody knows who he is. So the Titans were very much so in the edge market before taking Cam Ward. I'm going to take TJ Parker, the edge rusher out of Clemson, to the Tennessee Titans. He had 12 sacks last year, really came on strong for the Tigers last year. I think Clemson's a team that could contend deep into the college football playoff and could end up with 3 top 10 picks next year. So TJ Parker, I think, leads the way. Him and his teammate on the defensive line, who we'll get to. But TJ Parker out of Clemson. I know they got Femi Oladejo, the Titans, but I think you need more, right? You need to continue establishing that edge presence in this league. And I think TJ Parker will be the first choice in that position group come 2026.
Yeah, he had 12 sacks last year in 2024. Vicious first step. He's got a great combination of speed and power. He had an 80 PFF grade in both the run and the pass. So he's a more all-around guy. I love Femi Oladejo. Think he's going to be a really good player. If you guys listen to the edge rankings in my top 50 big board, I was really high on him. He was kind of like a my guy. He's more of a pass rush specialist right now. And so a guy like TJ Parker at the top of this class would be really good for the Tennessee Titans. The New York Jets at 4. This is tough, man, because their quarterback situation is not good. They also had a chance to take a quarterback. They had a chance in 2025. Hey, they could have went there at 7 and taken one, but they didn't. The quarterbacks after this, there's a lot of guys that will fit this category. Some people will be high on Cade Klubnik out of Clemson. Some will be high on Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. Some will like Sam Levitt out of Arizona State. Lenore Sellers, your guy out of South Carolina, for sure has the ability and the potential to be a first-round pick because of the ability he has to both run and throw the ball. But as of right now, if I'm taking a quarterback at 4th overall for the Jets, I'm going with LSU's Garrett Nussmeier. That's who I'm going to take right here. Let them get a guy that they can get in the building, has a little bit of college experience, has played at the highest level in Death Valley. So Garrett Nussmeier to the Jets at 4th overall.
Thank you for establishing the real Death Valley. LSU in Baton Rouge is the real Death Valley. Nuss at 4 to the Jets, man. You stole my pick because I was ready to make Nuss LSU to the Saints.
Yep.
re-up that franchise. And so the Saints miss out on Arch, the kid that grew up in NOLA, and then Nuss, the LSU guy. I don't know if I'm going to go with Klubnik here for the Saints. Well, listen, I don't think we're going to have 4 out of 5 QBs go. We'll save a little bit of the QB entertainment. I'll give you guys another piece of flavor because I think this guy may not go top 5, but I want to establish right here, right now, that this is a top 5 player in this draft class, maybe top 1. And that's Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State. Listen, safeties typically don't go this high, but when you watch this guy play, it's nothing short of what a lot of people thought of Malachi Starks coming out last year, what a lot of people thought of Kyle Hamilton coming out, just some of these elite safety prospects. So maybe he'll just fall to the Ravens like those two guys. But Downs to the Saints, I think he's got the makings of a top 5, top 10 player in this class. And when you say that, it's top 5, top 10 pick. So the Saints get a keystone on their defense for years to come. And I think this is a team that's far away. So taking the best player available makes sense.
And I love, let me ask you this before I get into it. Caleb Downs or Malachi Starks? I know that Malachi Starks just went to the Ravens, so don't be
Caleb
biased.
Downs. Caleb
I
Downs.
agree. I think he's a better prospect than Malachi Starks. He is elite in both the run and the pass. You can put him at free safety. You can put him in the box. You can put him at slot corner. You can do a lot of things with Caleb Downs. I was sneakily hoping that because he was safety, he would fall somewhere to the Patriots because I think he would be super fun in that defense.
Yeah.
But someone, and again, we just talked about it with the whole Malachi Starks thing, is like positional value. Where this guy is a top 10, top 15 player, maybe even top 5. And so where is he going to end up? And, you know, I don't hate the landing spot because, again, at some point the Saints might just have to say, hey, best player available. And that's kind of that's what they do in this situation. So the Carolina Panthers are now on the clock. This is one that I'm going to go with. I can't find him on here. Maybe he's down a little bit. I'm going to go to D tackle.
Well, you got D tackle. I think Peter Woods is a D tackle who they got an edge. But he's 315 pounds.
Yeah, now I'm not finding the guy I want to take. Oh, here he is. Okay. I have Kendrick Falk going here as a D tackle. I know he's 6'6", 280. He's listed as an edge here, but they were really in on Milton Williams before the Patriots stole him. It was reported he was going to Carolina. And we all know Carolina needed defense, but they went with Teteroa McMillan. So you could throw it as a toss-up. Is it Kendrick Falk or Falk? Is it Peter Woods? I'm going to go with Kendrick Falk here out of Auburn. Really like him. He is just massive. 6'6", 280, super long arms. He is going to be one of the first interior defensive linemen taken off the board. I don't know if he's going to be Mason Graham type of prospect, but he has a chance to be above Peter Woods and stuff, which I do think both of them are going to be interior defensive linemen. But right now I'm going to project Kendrick Falk with the size, his ability to disrupt the quarterback, great in the run, him going to the Carolina Panthers at 6.
And at 7 for the Raiders, I'll keep the train rolling. I'm going to take Peter Woods right here. He's he's listed as an edge rusher for those of you guys following along, but he's very handily an interior defensive lineman, 6'3", 315 pounds. That's TJ Parker's teammate over at Clemson. He had 3 sacks last year, but this guy knows how to push the pocket. Just an unbelievable defender, whether he's going to give you B-gap snaps. He had 122 snaps outside the tackle last year, so that's why he's listed as an edge. I think this guy's going to find a home on the interior. And then when you think about that Raiders defensive line with Max Crosby, and then you add in Peter Woods, I think that gets really scary, man. So would be a nice steal for the Raiders at 7.
The Indianapolis Colts are on the clock at 8th overall. I'm not an Anthony Richardson fan.
Do it, man.
You think I'm going to take Sellers, don't you?
No, I do not think you're going to take Sellers. You can't replace. They would not replace Anthony Richardson with Lenora Sellers. That's
I was just going to say, if as of right now, I think Sam Levitt and Carson Beck for sure have the opportunity to play into quarterback 3 or 4, depending on how the season goes. I would probably
Beck.
You're so over him.
Yeah,
is it because of the Playboy? Come on, you think he's
no? It's just what I watched last year, man. The tape, I was like, all right, I think this is a 4th round player. So I think for me, he's going to have a hard time going from that and elevating himself into a 1st rounder.
Yeah, I would go with Cade Klubnik right here out of Clemson. If you guys want a sleeper team that's going to be really good, that has, I don't want to say fallen off because they've been like a 10-win team most of the time.
Written
Clemson's
off.
going to be freaking good this year.
Yeah.
Clemson's going to be good. If you guys haven't been paying attention, that's 3 picks in the top 8 for Clemson already. So they're going to be good, and there's a potential for more of them to come off. But I think it's time for them to move on. Michael Pittman is still a great receiver, but you got to give him an opportunity to catch the ball. They just took Tyler Warren. I really like Tyler Warren in that system, but I don't trust Anthony Richardson to throw him the ball. And so I'm going to go with Cade Klubnik out of Clemson. Quarterback 4 quarterbacks in the top 8. Again, might not play out this way, but right now there does seem like there could be some quarterbacks going off in the top 10.
Yeah, and I think if the Colts are picking 8, especially in a pivotal year this year, it could be time for Anthony Richardson to be on his way out. So I think Klubnik's definitely possible. Listen, if you need anything, you take it from the guy in the Gamecock hat. I think the Clemson Tigers are going to be unbelievable this year. I think they got serious 11-1 potential, and they could be 11-0. But I think 11-1 going into that last game, which they'll lose against South Carolina. But Klubnik certainly a good prospect. He's my QB3 right now at this point. I tend to prefer him just a little bit over Drew Aller. Still, I mean, so much tape to watch, so you could take that with a grain of salt. But he's not a step below some of these guys. The Cowboys at number 9. What an awkward spot to see the Cowboys, right? So they took Jaden Blue in the 5th round this year. I don't think that closes the book at running back. And if you guys watched some of the college football playoff last year, Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame, and he'll score on you and hold up a little hand heart. This guy can play. And he played hurt in the college football playoff last year. This guy is so unbelievably explosive. I think he'd make an amazing Dallas Cowboy. Jeremiah Love, he had over 1,100 yards last year. The guy scored 17 touchdowns. It's unbelievable. Cowboys have been in need of a high-profile running back for a while. I think they get their guy right here.
I, no pun intended, love this pick. I mean, and I again, running back positional value, where is this going to come in? This is getting real close to, hey, Ashton Genty prospect type range.
Right.
So we'll see how it plays out, but he has all the potential, and he's going to have an opportunity to be a big time 1,900 plus rusher this year, putting up incredible stats for Notre Dame, who, in my opinion, is probably going to want to run the ball a ton. So Cleveland, they took their quarterback at the top in Drew Aller. I got to get someone to protect his blind side. I'm going to go with Caden Proctor here. Massive, 6'7", 370-pound offensive lineman. He doesn't move like a 370-pound offensive lineman. Dude is athletic as crap. He's been protecting Jalen Milroe's blindside for a couple of years. So let's get some protection now for Drew Aller. Let him block for Quinshad Judkins, that offense that they're trying to build there. So Caden Proctor out of Alabama to the Cleveland Browns.
I like the pick. If you guys have followed college football, yeah, that's the guy flipping from Iowa to Bama to Iowa to Bama. But Proctor, very good football player. The Browns need some help on the offensive line. Very surprised they didn't do more to address it in this draft. So I love that you went in that direction at 10. You got time for a flag plant here at 11. Speaking of needing offensive line help, because the Seahawks went with Gray Zabel. They got to help interior offensive linemen. They did that. I think they need another tackle. And I am all over. He's 75th on the PFF big board right now, which I think is way too low. I love Isaiah World. He played at Nevada.
Oregon, right? Yep.
He's at Oregon now. He was the number 1 tackle, may have been one of the top 3 players in the transfer portal this year. This guy's 6'8", 309 pounds. He's going to have to add a little bit of beef. We just watched Marcus Mbow, who's like 6'3", 6'4", 303 pounds. Isaiah World, 6'8", but I think he'll be able to fill out that frame once he gets to Oregon. This guy moves and has power like, some elite offensive tackle prospects that I've watched. Isaiah World, I think, is going to jump all over the national scene this year. And I think the Seahawks will be able to keep him out west if he's able to make it to 11. This is somebody that I mocked in the top 5 in my way too early mock draft on Instagram. If you want to go check that out. But man, I love Isaiah World. I don't know if you watched a little bit of this yet, because I've probably watched.
I'll get to him. I'll get to him.
You'll like him too. I think this guy was really, really impressive. And he's got the makings of being able to become a top 10 pick.
For sure. Has the size, has all those things. So we'll see. And it helps that he's going up a level, right? There's been knocks on, he's at Nevada, he's
at North Dakota
playing,
State. Yeah.
Yep.
Grace
They're going to
Able.
take this. Yep. They're going to take the small school guys and make them dogs. But anyways,
right.
My New England Patriots on the clock at 12th overall. I'd be really happy if they were selecting 12th. I think they have a chance to even be selecting lower. I think that this is a team that could be an 8-win team if everything goes right, if Drake May progresses. There's a couple things. I still don't think there's a wide receiver one on this team unless one emerges. I have high hopes for Kyle Williams. Hopefully Jalen Polk bounces back. Obviously Stephon Diggs is a little bit older. My initial thought right here is edge rusher in Ruben Bain out of Miami, or finding a Morgan Moses replacement and securing your tackles up, because Francis Mauga and Spencer Fano are both right tackles. Will Campbell at left tackle, find someone to replace Morgan Moses. I honestly think I like replacing Morgan Moses just a little bit more, and that's what I think Mike Vrabel will like to do. There's usually edge rushers you can find in the second or third round that can be impactful guys. So I'm going to actually go with, as much as I want to go with Spencer Fano being from Utah, I mean, I've watched this kid since he was in high school there. I think it's hard to pass up on former 5-star and one of the top recruits in the country. And is it Francis Mauga?
I don't know. We'll figure it out in June.
We'll figure it out in June when we go on the school's website and have the pronunciation, but really like what he's done. He started at right tackle since he was a true freshman at Miami. Like I said, former 5-star, one of the best recruits in one of those classes. He's the only FBS tackle with 2 or fewer knockdowns on 500 plus passing snaps. So he was really good for Cam Ward, really kept him upright. So I really like that. There's a chance he's offensive tackle 1. I think a reason he wouldn't be is because he's a right tackle. Now we saw that not really matter with Armand Mambu. There you go. I almost did it. I was so good for like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
With us, we saw that not matter with Armand Mambu being a right tackle, but I think that might be a reason for maybe he's not offensive tackle 1, is he's on the right side, not the left side. But I think with the Patriots taking Will Campbell, getting another offensive lineman to shore up the Morgan Moses side if he does retire or if they need to move on from him, would be very beneficial.
Does Fano have short arms, the tackle out of Utah?
I think he has a chance to be a guard.
I was going to say, I don't know if Fano and Will Campbell is like, did you just draft left guard and and right guard in 2 first rounds?
Yeah. Heck yeah. Let's go.
Bring the beef. The Rams, this is their first of 2 picks. I'm going to go with a corner right here. Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee is one of the top corners coming out this year. I think he's recovering from an injury. But I think this guy's got the potential to be a really special player. Good size at 6 foot, 195, had an unbelievable PFF coverage grade, 87 overall grade, close to a 90 PFF coverage grade, great ball skills, superb athlete. So Jermod McCoy, somebody to watch at the cornerback position. I think this corner class has the potential to be pretty special. Maybe not have elite talent, but be one of these deep corner classes we've seen in the past. I think the Rams need some help on the back end. And if they have 2 picks, they could get McCoy here and then figure something out later on.
Steelers on the clock at 14th overall.
Don't get in the way of Will Howard.
I really do think Will Howard has a chance to be the starting quarterback this year, but I don't think that's enough to say maybe they were looking in the quarterback direction. Is there any... You're a Lenora Seller guy.
I mean, if the guy's left, yes.
There's a chance that he plays himself into a top 15 pick because of the high upside he has.
You know, the conflict of interest that this would create for me is absurd.
Because I was just going to ask you that as a Ravens fan and a South Carolina fan. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it. It's a little bit of a projection, not a huge one because he has all the talent. He's been
might as well project he transfers to Clemson.
Well, he'll do that and then get drafted by the Steelers in 2027. How about that? Does that work for you?
Nah, that'd be a disaster. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to go with Lenora Sellers here. I'm going to take him to Pittsburgh Steelers at pick 14. He is the quarterback out of South Carolina. For those of you that don't know, this is a massive quarterback, 6'3", 242 pounds. He is going to be, I don't want to say Anthony Richardson-esque because I do think he has a little bit, he has an opportunity to be a better passer than him. That's what he needs to take a step as. But the dude can run. He's super athletic and big as crap. So Lenora Sellers to the Steelers.
The break sack ability on that guy is unbelievable, and he can sling
Big
the rock.
Ben Roethlisberger-esque.
Right. I mean, a little bit. And I think he's going to have this year the opportunity to do something that Anthony Richardson never really did. Because if you're to turn back the clock, I think the season Sellers had last year is kind of reflective of the season Richardson had coming out, where you were like, there's the highlights, there's the flashes. We need to clean up some negative stuff. Let's draft him and sit him. And then Shane Steichen, by the way, I still hold a little bit of a grudge against Steichen. I can't believe they just like threw him out there. That's one of the biggest pieces of malpractice, I think, in the last decade of the NFL. I just completely, to be straight up, I think Steichen should have been fired over it. But that's neither here nor there. Sellers has an opportunity to come in with a more passing focused offensive coordinator this year in Mike Shula. And I think he's going to get him ready for the NFL game. So this is a guy that's got the potential not only to be like a top 15 pick, but really be a player in the top 5. If, depending on how some of these quarterback prospects work out. So Sellers to the Steelers. Now, full disclosure, I wasn't betting you were going to do that. I was going to try to set the Rams up to take Jermod McCoy at 13 and then just have Sellers slip to their second pick. So that's a prime example. It's like the throwback to 2019 where everybody was upset at the Giants. They had 3 picks in the first round, like 6, 17, and 30, and they took Daniel Jones at 6, and everybody was like, why? You could have gotten him at 17. And I'm like, it's not how this works. Like, if you have a quarterback that you like, you got to take him.
Don't risk it.
That's why I'm not a general manager. I should have taken him at 13. But now I'm the general manager for the Dolphins. Life moves fast. This could also be a quarterback spot. I'm not going to do it, obviously, just because that would be projecting injury and all that sort of stuff. And we're not here to do that to our guy Tua. But they went Kenneth Grant in the first round last year. I thought they could have gone corner. I thought they could have gone safety. I'm kind of juggling Avion Terrell, brother of AJ Terrell, and then Dylan Thieneman, another Oregon transfer who I really like. And I'm going to just go in the corner direction. I'm going to go Avion Terrell. I think this guy's a tremendous outside corner. Another Clemson player. So that would be the fourth one. This guy had 2 interceptions this past season, and he registered a 70.9 passer rating against. That's real good stuff. He had a 90.7 PFF run defense grade. This guy's got the size at 5'11", 180. Little bit on the slider frame side. Maybe packs on a little weight. Last skinny corner that got drafted out of Clemson worked out pretty well. That would be Nate Wiggins. But this guy's got the bloodlines to do it. AJ Terrell's brother, both Clemson guys. So Miami adds something on the back end. Perhaps there's your Jalen Ramsey replacement. But again, this feels like picking for the Saints all over again, right? You got a team with almost no direction as a franchise right now. Not to come down harsh, but those two teams, I'm like, what are we doing? So Dolphins just got to get help on the defense. It's going to be piece by piece for them.
Chicago is up on the clock at 16. I alluded to this guy a little bit earlier as an edge rusher that kind of bounced onto the scene last year. I'm going to go with Ruben Bain out of Miami. I think they need a little bit more pass rush help. They did take Shamar Turner for the interior defensive line, but would like for the Bears to add a little bit of pass rushing ability on the outside. So I'll go have them taking Ruben Bain, who is one of the ACC's best players. And that's saying a lot because we just took 4 Clemson defensive players in the top 15. And so he's going to be one of those guys to look out for. Could be a guy that stays in college. This is going to be his first year. He's draft eligible. So maybe, if he has a little bit of a mediocre year and is not in the first round, this is one of those classic guys you can see, hey, maybe he'll go back and he'll say, I'm going to improve my draft stock and be a top 10 pick in 2027. But he is draft eligible. See if he has another good year. See if he can crack the top 16. But Ruben Bain out of Miami to the Bears.
I like that pick, man. The Bears, we were kind of waiting on them to take a splashy edge rusher this year, and it never really happened. So I'm going to go in the same direction, right, down the same path. We were kind of waiting for the Cardinals, like they're going to use a premier pick on offensive line. And listen, no slouch to them for drafting Walter Nolan and Will Johnson. Unbelievable job. But now I'm going to take Spencer Fano, the tackle out of Utah. He could play right tackle. Guy could end up sliding into guard. And you know what? For the Cardinals, that's not going to be the worst thing. I think they need help at both spots. So wherever they want to play this guy, I'm fine with it. Fano's been a really good player for a while. And then the season he had just this past year is unbelievable. He did play 542 snaps at left tackle in 2023. So I think he gives you a little bit of that flexibility, but He may have shorter arms, but I think this guy, just true sophomore, young player, 6'5", 304. But highly touted recruit, I think, and then just going to have the makings of a top 25 pick. So I think the Cardinals get a nice one here. Start shoring up that offensive line for Kyler.
Okay, the Vikings on the clock at 18. Why am I drawing a blank of who they took in 2025? They took a lineman, right?
Yeah, they did.
It was
Donovan
Jackson. That's why, because we hated it so much.
I was like, are you drawing a blank intentionally?
I'm drawing a blank because I hated that player and he shouldn't have been a first round guy. Beside the fact, I'm going to go with Anthony Hill Jr. here. Again, I really am a fan of Flores Jr. and his defense. I think that we talked about a ton of times, like, man, imagine like a Malachi Starks, imagine a Jihad Campbell, imagine a Jalen Walker in this type of defense. I think if you add a guy like Anthony Hill, who's a good Mike linebacker, really well-rounded skill set, he can run, or he can stop the run, he can be a blitzer, he can cover in man. I really like him. He stood out too on film when you were watching guys from the 2025 draft class for Texas, Jahdae Barron or Alfred Collins. You always saw Anthony Hill Jr. standing out. So I think this is a guy, other than Colin Simmons, who is going to be a 2027 guy probably, and he's a freak.
He's a monster.
He's going to be one of the best SEC defenders this year, and that's saying a lot because Georgia's in there, and they usually have 8 guys that are just NFL ready right off the bat. But Anthony Hill out of Texas, the linebacker.
Yeah, that guy flies around, man. That'd be a very exciting pick for the Vikings. Denver Broncos on the clock at 19. I think it might be a little bit of there'd be some sad people in Denver if they're picking at 19. Got some high hopes for this year. And I think one of the reasons maybe they would fall short is perhaps an inability to get to the passer in that division that's had some, beefed up offensive lines. So I'm going to take LT Overton, a guy that could have been a first or second round pick this past year, decided to go back to school, plays for Alabama, and he's going to bring you both run defense and pass defense. This guy plays a ton of snaps for Alabama when he's both defending the run and the pass. 6'5", 283 pounds. So a thicker player, not just going to be one of those skinny, wide 9 edge rushers. I think that's the well-rounded player on the edge that Denver needs.
Yeah, Denver, if they're picking 19th here, I think that would be with the growth of what you're hoping Bo Nix takes the next step. You just added to a freaking great secondary, Jahdae Barron, and you take an instant impact in RJ Harvey, who a lot of guys are like, oh, maybe they'll go Omar and Hampton in the first. Now you take RJ Harvey. We'll see if they go 19th overall. Yeah, probably sure up, teams there trying to stop Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert.
That's a good strategy.
That is a good strategy.
Yeah.
Or you could just outscore them every time. That's what the Bengals are trying to do. Like, why would we stop people when we can just add to the offense and score 40 points a game?
You make a great point.
The Houston Texans are on the clock here. They took the 2 Iowa State receivers, so the receiver room's looking pretty good.
Anybody from Iowa State you could take here?
Yeah, let me see. We still haven't taken a receiver off the board yet. Jordan Tyson is the top ranked guy. We'll see. I wouldn't say I don't hate or I hate this class, but I think it's kind of
tough,
similar to
fits,
Yeah,
not a lot of fits. Would the Texans go receiver here? Would the Broncos have just gone receiver? Would the Vikings have gone receiver?
The Packers aren't going receiver for another 40 years.
And the Bucks just drafted a first-round receiver. The Chargers just drafted Trey Harris at 55.
Yeah, Washington could maybe look because Terry's getting a little. But anyways, we'll get to that.
The Bengals need to get T. Higgins and Jamar Chase some help.
They always need to. Gosh, this one's tough for me. If I'm the Houston Texans, I'm looking for a little bit more of interior defensive line or front 7 help in general. There's not really a guy here that I would take. Tyreek Sapp, actually, that's who I'm going to take out of Florida. I'd go Tyreek Sapp. Think that he's a guy out of Florida who is 6'2", 275. He's probably going to be one of the better defenders for Florida this year. Hopefully they have a little bit better season than what they've had in the past. But I think that he will be a good addition to that front 7 for them. So I'll take Tyreek Sapp out of Florida.
Yeah, he was an 8-sack player on the edge for the Gators last year. So definitely something the Texans could use. Packers, I'll go in the direction of cornerback. Talked a lot about Jair Alexander potentially being on the way out. So that's what the direction we'll go in here after the Packers kind of had an underwhelming draft following the Matthew Golden pick. I'll take A.J. Harris, the corner out of Penn State. really like this player in the Penn State secondary. A lot of good players that have come out from Penn State on the defensive side of the ball. I think A.J. Harris is next in line. 6'1", 193 pounds. Just a steady cornerback. Not going to give you that much ball production, but that's because he's not getting thrown at. I think this will be one of the better corners in this next year.
I'm trying to look up a guy. I don't know if PFF has him on here. They should. Let me see if I can find him, and I'll announce it if they have him.
Fraudulent PFF.
Wow. Okay, this is you're gonna have to tell me if I'm being crazy for this one, because he's low on this board and he's one of your guys. Is Jalen Kilgore not a potential first round pick in the corner in this class?
Wow. I mean, Kilgore at 179 is tough. I think he's like first top 50 player, should be top 50 consensus guy.
So I mean, this guy was an freshman all SEC in 2023. He had 5 interceptions last year, which was tied with Jahdae Barron and Andrew Makuba. Super productive. I don't know if he's a first round guy, but I think with the ball hawking skills he's had and the success, I'm going to take a chance here. This is way low for me on PFF's board. Maybe this is even high for some people.
While it's on the screen, I'm not okay with Takario Davis at 168 either.
That's another one.
That's silly.
Yeah. So, and I mean, this will be changed for sure. But right. I had to do some digging on there. I'm like, is this guy even on there? But another one that's a little bit of rejection, but I love corners that get their hands on the ball. That is so important, whether it's PBUs, interceptions. Yeah, you can stay in coverage, but if you can't get the ball out when it's coming your way, make a play on it. I think Jalen Kilgore has that. So take that to Tampa Bay. They did get a couple of corners later, Benjamin Morrison, and so they maybe have filled that, but they need an elite level guy, and I think Kilgore could jump into that role, especially in the late first round.
And listen, just a little nugget on Kilgore. They took Morrison, so an outside corner, but he struggled with injuries. And then they took Jacob Parrish, who's more of that nickel, smaller blitzing corner. And then Kilgore has been a slot corner, but he's going to move a little bit more to safety. So he'll play a little bit of a multiple role and kind of in a nickel set. It's really going to help him, I think, project to the NFL level. A superb Swiss Army knife type of player that's going to have succeeded in multiple roles coming into the draft next year. So I love that shout out. And I think, we profiled the Bucs as a potential Jahdae Barron team because they want to get multiple on the defense. They want guys that are going to create plays around the football. And I think Kilgore does that. And I think with his multiple position ability, we could see him shoot up some boards. So I love the shout out at 22 to the Bucs. The Chargers at 23. They took Amarian Hampton this past year, and then they took Trey Harris. So I'm not really looking receiver either. I kind of just want to make a hardball pick, just get beefy on either side of the ball. But so I like an edge rusher that's here, but then part of me just wants to take Dylan Thieneman because
he's good.
he's good. What's the Chargers safety room look like? Is it?
I'll pull it up.
Because
Derwin James
and
I'm not even going to say his name. Alohi Gilman.
Alohi Gilman. All right, I'll go with the edge rusher. We'll save Thieneman for a little bit of a better fit later on. But I'm going to go with, I don't know if it's Danny or Dennis Sutton out of Penn State, but I think this is a player that could have come out last season and he could have been a second rounder, maybe a third rounder, chose to come back to school. I think that'll ultimately be a good decision for him. He'll have to deal with some double teams now that Abdul Carter took away from him. So that's one of the sour sides of returning to school as a high profile player. But this guy's 6'5", 266, can get it done in the run and the pass. I think Dennis Sutton played some great games in the college football playoff. He'll look to build on that. So he could end up being a pick here. Top 23, we have him, edge rusher out of Penn State to the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Washington. I talked myself into it. I said we hadn't taken a receiver yet.
I think
that they can take a receiver. They helped Jaden Daniels with Josh Connerly on the offensive line. Now they can take a guy because their receiver room is Terry McLaurin, who I still do believe in. I think he's still going to be good for a couple of years. Debo Samuel, we all know the injury history there and the age there. And then Noah Brown is their other starting guy. They got Jalen Lane out of the draft this year from Virginia Tech. My number one receiver, or a guy who I think could be the number one receiver, and the one I'm going to take here, I watched him in person. We actually played him this year in person, game 1 in 2025, when we were playing our money game. So you guys can go look and see what team I'm a part of if you don't know already. Denzel Boston. This is a guy that's 6'4". He's a bigger X body type of frame. He could fit into the Noah Brown role, which is what I think Washington needs. He had 837 receiving yards last year, 64 receptions and 9 touchdowns for Washington as they made the jump into the Big Ten. He has a chance to be really good with DeMond Williams, who's going to be their quarterback this year, is going to take over for why can't I think of who they had? He came from Mississippi State. Now I'm drawing a blank. I got the worst memory.
Will
Rogers. Yeah. But this is a guy. He gets great in contested catch situations, going up and getting the jump ball. So I'm going to take him here. Denzel Boston is the first receiver. Again, there's a lot of guys that I would probably like in the late 20s.
Plant your flag, Jace. Plant your flag. There you
Denzel Boston being one. I think that there's guys like Eric Singleton, Elijah Surratt that can jump into this conversation, but I'll take Denzel Boston. I watched him in person.
Tate too. Tate's a heck of a player. So this receiver class, it's not, I want to be very clear. I don't think this is a bad receiver class. I just think we're waiting for a guy or two to make a move. You know what I mean? Like the talent's there. We can recognize that in Jordan Tyson. We saw that Arizona State could have been a multiple win team in the playoff with him healthy. But ultimately he was hurt and we know how that ended. But Denzel Boston, first receiver off the board here. I like it. Cincinnati Bengals at 25. They went with Shamar Stewart, who has yet to practice because the Bengals, what are they messing around with some practice waiver? They won't let these guys get insurance or something.
Yeah, they don't have insurance or something.
There's a reason every time the team report cards come out that the Bengals have an F minus, whatever it is. It's just, if they could get their stuff together, that'd be cool. For the rest of the league, maybe we'll go down to 31 teams. I wouldn't mind that. The Bengals,
just move them to Utah.
Should I go Sam Leavitt here for the bank? No, I'm kidding. Let's see. I mean, I think I got to go on. Well, I don't have to go on the defensive side of the ball. Don't they need a center, Cincinnati?
They do.
We'll take. We'll give Jake Slaughter a shout out. Florida Gator center. He's going to be largely considered the top interior offensive lineman this year. Maybe. And listen, we're eliminating tackles that'll be projected inside. True interior offensive lineman. There's a nugget in his PFF little board rank that says Slaughter's 85.8 overall grade since 2023 trails only Utah's very own Jackson Powers Johnson for Power 4 centers. I think Jake Slaughter is going to be a steady Eddie of this draft class, and I think he will find a very happy team in the 20s if he falls that far. So Jake Slaughter, the center out of Florida, to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, don't mind it at all. They can use offensive line help to protect Joe Burrow. He's had a couple of injuries throughout his career, and they have all the receivers in the world. So if it's not on the offensive line, it would be defense for sure. The Rams are on the clock. I took your pick with Lenoris Sellers going to the Steelers. I'm going to take Sam Levitt here. I think that Sam Levitt would fit in this system. Yeah, they need someone that they can start grooming behind Matthew Stafford. Sam Levitt has a opportunity to lead ASU to another college football playoff. They might be one of the favorites in the Big 12 again. They might be the favorite, but they will certainly be up there with him and Jordan Tyson returning. They have a big hole to fill with Scadaboo leaving, but he has a chance to sneak into the first round. I think Sam Levitt would be a great developmental guy. And I don't even want to say developmental, but this is a classic guy that the Rams could get in, who's very successful, has played a lot of football. They can get him in his system, let him sit for a year behind Stafford, and then he would take over in 2027. And that's super advantageous for any rookie quarterback, but would be good for him. So anyone that goes to the Rams, I think, is already one of my favorite quarterbacks to succeed. One, because of Sean McVay, but two, because I don't think they'll need to start right away. So I really like the fit of Sam Levitt there.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think the Rams are in a prime position to not replace Matthew Stafford, because that sounds like they're replacing him on the spot, but just start shifting gears, because not too long ago, right? A month and a half ago, we didn't know if Stafford was going to be a Ram anymore, right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of noise, and whether it was like real noise or Colin Coward running his mouth about how it was about his wife and all that stuff. But the Rams put themselves in position to do this by getting 2 first-round picks and ended up with a guy I think they really like in Terrence Ferguson at 46 this year. So the Rams, there's a reason that I boosted their draft grade this year because of that trade. I think that's very significant, and they'll pick up a first-round pick from Atlanta, and we'll see if they use that on a position player, wait for quarterback, or vice versa. Talked about what might happen with what the Giants did back in 2019, so we'll see how that goes. The Lions at 27, this is pretty simple for me. I thought they should have gone with an edge rusher opposite Aiden Hutchinson a lot earlier than Ahmed Hassanian in the 6th round. I'm going to take David Bailey, the former Stanford edge rusher, now at Texas Tech, I believe. He had an unbelievable season last year, putting up 7 sacks. He's going to do most of his work from outside the tackle. That's just because he's 6'3", 240. A little bit of an undersized player, but I think opposite Aiden Hutchinson, you can let David Bailey work in one-on-ones, and I think that's where he's going to thrive. Texas Tech, a team to watch this year in college football, and I think David Bailey could be a very big reason why.
I like the pick there. I'm going to go on the offensive line for the San Francisco 49ers. I was a little shocked they didn't do it in the 2025 draft. I mean,
me too, man. Me too. We
they
dinged him
did
for it.
they did need defensive line help. I'm going to go with the flag plant here. I'm reading something right now, and this is an interesting one. Boise State has not had back-to-back first-round picks. I'm going to go with tackle Cage Casey this year out of Boise State. He's a left tackle. When you watch Ashton Genty's film, again, it's how it's supposed to look for a guy in the group of 5 level. Dominant type of rush or dominant film in that league. The other one I was thinking of was the other Utah offensive lineman, Caleb Lomu,
also
who plays
too
opposite.
low on the PFF big board.
Yes, very low. Who plays opposite of Spencer Fano. But I think I'm going to go with a little bit of a flag plant here and go Cage Casey. See if Boise State can make another run to the college football playoff. Maybe he'll get even more recognition because, he'll have good film blocking for Ashton Genty. And a lot of people have been watching that film this year, and they'll have their eyes on him again next year.
Man, you telling me I get to go watch Ashton Genty again?
Willingly, bro.
Oh, this is amazing. Best news ever. Cage Casey, tackle 1. I love it. 49ers, though, in all seriousness, I was shocked they didn't go tackle earlier than they did. Now we're moving to the Chiefs, picking 29. Would love if that's the case. I think about receiver here, but I just think the room is too crowded, and I don't know if they necessarily need it. Patrick Mahomes tends to make these wide receiver 2 profile guys become wide receiver 1s. Could look at like a tight end here. That's a very big possibility with Travis Kelce potentially on the way out. You got a guy like Eli Stower. Should I take tight end? Is that do we mix in a tight end? Do I take a secondary player? It's just tough. There's a lot of tight ends I like. I like Eli Stowers out of Vandy. I like Tanner Koziel, Ball State transferred into Wisconsin, and then Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon. Big fan of him. But I might have just thrown all those guys out just to take Dylan Thieneman.
I was just going to say, if you don't take Dylan Thieneman, it's just another Howie Roseman miracle who would probably just take him. Even though they took Andrew Mukuba, I don't know if they would pass on Thieneman because they took. So if you don't take him here, I'll take him there. But he's clearly the best player on the board.
I'm going to take Dylan Thieneman. Okay. Purdue transfer to Oregon. And listen, I gave my tight end shout out. So I did my due diligence there. You guys got 3 tight ends for the price of 1 safety. The Chiefs gets Thieneman is a stud. Really like the player. I think Oregon got a heck of a transfer. 6 foot, 205 pounds. So nice size for a safety. Not going to be like your Eamon Wari type of thumper, but this guy's just unbelievable on the back end. Center fielder. Younger player as well. I think just a true sophomore. And does a lot of his work deep, but plays a lot of snaps in the box. Plays a lot of snaps as a slot guy. Want to have him clean up that missed tackle number, but I think when he gets to Oregon, he'll be able to take off, similar to Isaiah World, the tackle I shouted out earlier.
The Eagles at 30. This is just one where you look at their roster and it's like, what do they need, man? And of course, free agency will tell a lot there and stuff. I could see them wanting to find a Lane Johnson replacement, but we talked about it. I think that they have a good opportunity to develop Cameron Williams, who they took out of
they
Texas
do.
in like the 6th round. And so that might be kind of their plan there. I mean, Kenyon Green, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickinson on the interior, and then obviously Jordan Mailata. I'm going to go with a luxury pick here. I'm going to have them taking a receiver. My next receiver here would be Eric Singleton. I like Eric Singleton a lot. He's coming over, or sorry, he's at Georgia Tech now. He's going to Auburn, I believe. He is transferring to Auburn, so he won't be at Georgia Tech. But taking Eric Singleton there, he would be a great complement next to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Now, again, we don't know what's going to happen with those guys because there's trade rumors with AJ Brown like every offseason, and they might be looking to move him. I don't know if they actually will, but there is a chance. So I'll take Eric Singleton Jr. out of Georgia Tech, the receiver, to the Philadelphia Eagles.
I like it. Eagles could end up minus one of those two big name receivers there. I don't think they need like 3 guys to play at the same time, but you never know when some of those guys are on the way out. The Ravens on the clock at 31. I'm going to take Deontay Lawson, the linebacker out of Alabama. I think they make a habit of playing their way into taking premium players at non-premium positions, and they'll take Deontay Lawson, the 6'2", 240-pound linebacker out of Alabama, to go right next to Roquan Smith and potentially be the next guy in line to be an elite linebacker in the middle of that Ravens defense. Guy takes on blocks well, and I think he's a good zone coverage defender. That's kind of the scouting report on him. Younger player, and I think he will take over that Jahad Campbell role pretty nicely.
Yeah, that's he'll be in a opportunity to make a name for himself for sure. With Jahad Campbell gone now, he is now the guy they're going to be like looking at a lot of the time. So, the Buffalo Bills, the only thing I hear their fans talking about right now is there's no one to throw to for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with receiver again. I know we talked about there's not a lot. The guy that I would go, it would be, in my opinion right now, between Jordan Tyson and Carnell Tate. I'm going to go with Carnell Tate. Man, Brian Hartline and that Ohio State offensive
You hate
staff.
Jordan Tyson.
I like Jordan Tyson a lot. You hate him. You didn't even bring him up once.
I didn't have the chance. You took him. You brought him up 3 times and passed on him 3 times.
No, and I guess I want to see more out of Jordan Tyson.
That's totally fair, by the way.
Because of the injury, there's a little bit of, hey, I want to see a little bit more. I want to see you do it consistently because he wasn't good throughout the whole year. He was really good in the last, like the Big 12 championship and some of those games. But in my opinion, when you think of Arizona State, that offense was Cam Scatterbo. Cam Scatterbo was that offense. So I want to see what, now that he has the target on his back, what does he look like? And I think he has all the talent in the world. So he could easily be a first-round guy. But Carnell Tate, hard to look past a wide receiver that has the Ohio State logo next to him because those dudes are just elite. So you want to go through and read 1 through 16, and I'll read 17 through 32?
Man, I was just going to ask if you wanted to split it. Love that. So I'll go first 16. We had Arch Manning, the quarterback out of Texas, to the New York Giants. Drew Aller, the quarterback out of I wrote Notre Dame on my mock draft.
I saw that. Someone said it.
How did I just say that? We're going to take it from the top. First, we had Arch Manning, the quarterback out of Texas, to the Giants. Second, we had Drew Aller, the quarterback out of Penn State, to the Browns. Third, we had TJ Parker, the edge rusher out of Clemson, to the Titans. Fourth, we had Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback out of LSU, to the Jets. Fifth, we had Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State, to the Saints. Sixth, we had Keldrick Falk, the edge rusher, interior defensive lineman out of Auburn, to the Panthers. Seventh, we had Peter Woods, another edge rusher, interior D lineman out of Clemson, to the Raiders. Eighth, we had Cade Klubnik, the quarterback out of Clemson, to the Colts. Ninth, we had Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame, to the Cowboys. 10th, we had Caden Proctor, the tackle out of Alabama, to the Browns. 11th, we had Isaiah World, the tackle out of Oregon, to the Seahawks. 12th, we had Francis Mauigoa, the tackle out of Miami, to the Patriots. 13th, we had Jermod McCoy, the corner out of Tennessee, to the Rams. 14th, we had Lenora Sellers, the quarterback out of South Carolina, to the Steelers. Break my heart. 15th, we had Avion Terrell, the corner out of Clemson, to the Dolphins. And 16, Ruben Bain Jr., edge rusher out of Miami, to the Bears.
The Cardinals took Spencer Fanu at the tackle out of Utah at 17. Anthony Hill, the linebacker out of Texas, to the Vikings at 18. LT Overton, the edge rusher out of Alabama, to the Broncos at 19. Tyreek Sapp, the edge rusher out of Florida, to the Texans at 20. AJ Harris, the cornerback out of Penn State, to the Green Bay Packers at 21. 22, the Buccaneers, we had Jalen Kilgore, the cornerback out of South Carolina. 23, the Los Angeles Chargers took Penn State edge rusher Donnie Dennis Sutton. Washington, this is actually really crazy. I didn't put this together. The Washington Commanders take Washington Huskies wide receiver Denzel Boston. I did not put that together until I saw those two logos right by each other, and it kind of tripped me. But the Cincinnati Bengals at 25 took Florida center Jake Slaughter. Sam Levitt, the quarterback out of Arizona State, goes 26 to the Rams. David Bailey is at Texas A&M now. He is an edge rusher.
Texas
he goes
Tech,
to
I think.
Texas Tech. There you go. Yep. Sorry, I knew it was one of the Texas schools. Texas Tech. They should really update
Oil
these
money,
logos.
same thing. I know, right?
Yeah.
those guys are enrolled in classes
PFF.
and everything.
Man, they already made $100K off NIL money. Why can't we get the logos? I'm sorry. I still love you, PFF. Trevor, you're the GOAT. Anyways, the Lions take
Isaiah Worlds for the Nevada shout out.
Yeah, there you go. David Bailey, the edge rusher, that is at Texas Tech, goes to the Lions at 27. The San Francisco 49ers at 28 take Boise State tackle Cage Casey
Your
at
boy.
29. What's up?
Your boy, Cage Casey. Your boy.
My flag plant. Watch him be a 6th-round pick. Oh, well, who cares? No one will remember this in 4 months. At 29, the Kansas City Chiefs take Oregon safety Dylan Thieneman. The Eagles at 30 take Auburn wide receiver Eric Singleton Jr. Deontay Lawson, the linebacker out of Alabama, goes to the Ravens at 31. And Carnell Tate, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, goes to the Buffalo Bills at 32.
What a fun one, man. Fun way to intro the 2026 NFL draft. Guys, don't get too wrapped up in this. It's just a good exercise to hear the names, hear some of the team needs that we're projecting for some of the teams. Don't get too wrapped up in the order. We didn't make it. If we did, it would be the Ravens at 32 and the Patriots at 30. So we'll and Chiefs at first overall, but we don't really wish that to happen.
Yeah, we do.
But it's true. And then we hope they trade it for a 7th-round pick. But yeah, we'll have some more dynasty stuff that we're going to get into, some fantasy stuff. We're really looking forward to bring you guys a little teaser. Might be a draft style episode inspired by one of my favorite draft podcasts. I'm going to give a shout out to one of the draft goats on that one. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed. Notifications are all on, and you won't want to miss out on summer scouting once that gets underway, because that is going to be a very laid-back piece of evaluation. We have never done this before with each other. Jace and I introed these classes together last year when we already had kind of opinions on these guys. We're peeling back the curtain for the first time on some of these players, and we're just going to dump on each other. We might send some text back and forth that we'll reference, as we watch these guys, like, holy crap, Cage Casey's unreal. So we'll see how that goes. Really looking forward to bringing that to you guys. Maybe some more podcast clips that you can find, some more short form stuff, maybe. But looking forward to having the 2026 process underway. And don't worry, we'll do some rookie content. 2025 stuff's not going away totally, but 2026 is here. Looking forward to bringing it to you guys.
Yeah, and we're working on maybe we'll save it for in an upcoming episode. We might have an announcement to get some of you guys involved with us. We'll work on that. If you guys might be able to get the hints, if kind of what we've talked about, the future schedule will be. We're working on that right now. So we'll get a chance for you guys to have a little fun and maybe join in some where with us. So have that. But yeah, 2025, got a couple ideas to wrap it up. Like you said, inspired off of other podcasts, but we'll put our twist on it, and then it's on to 2026 and just continuing to grow the channel, the podcast, and maybe even more if we think of more and more ways that you guys can support. So yeah, but we appreciate it. This was really fun. Good episode. Couple flag plants there. We'll see in 6 months if they're even declared or if they're even maybe they're working at Amazon. We don't know. So
yeah, well, thank you guys for listening. Share with a friend if you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.